5, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Good Day Chula Vista. Faby Gonzalez here at Coldwell Banker West, your local realtor. And we're doing episode 96 today. We're getting closer to 100 episodes. And remember, we're going to have a big show that day with a lot of gift cards. So don't forget to tune in and make your comments. Today, if you have an electrical panel, if you have electricity in your house, then you definitely want to hear this because we are going to talk to an expert and he's going to tell us all the tips to have a safe home as far as electrical. So stay with us. And we're back. Thank you for joining us. So today we have with us Eddie Ochoa. He's from Ochoa's Electric. And I'm really happy and grateful that you're here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Of course. I know you're very busy, so I really appreciate you being here because I know you have so many jobs.
Oh, yes, we do.
So, Eddie, tell us about you.
Well, born and raised in Rocky Ford, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
4 kids, 4 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big family.
Uh-huh.
But they're all out. They're on their own.
Uh-huh.
Joined the military back in 89.
Wow.
Did 4 years, became electrician's mate then. Soon got out of the military. And then I went to work for Internal Brotherhoods of Electrical Workers.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out as an electrician there after 5 years. Then soon after that, I got my license.
So you've been doing that for how many years now?
18 years.
18 years.
2001.
So you're an expert.
I don't know about expert, but
You've been through it all.
I've been through all the good and bad stuff.
Thank you, Vero. Well, and so you've been here. I know you said, did you live in Vegas before? I thought.
Never.
No, where was it?
That's it. Rocky Ford and San Diego.
In San Diego, okay. That you had mentioned that. So I met Eddie at one of our list. Well, it was actually a property that my buyer was purchasing, and it was a condo here in Bonita. And when we had to do the inspection for the city loan, the inspection didn't go through because the panel was discontinued. And I didn't know, I mean, everything seemed fine, but we ended up having to get a new panel for the city to approve. So Eddie's gonna talk about that a little more, but I wanted to just tell you how I met him. And then since then, obviously, I've been recommending him for my clients because you do such a good job and you're so, the way you explain things.
Well, thank you so much. You know, we try our best. I'm a little older, so I've been through a lot of problems, situations, with homes, and we try to make our clients comfortable.
Right.
So we have to explain well.
In their language, right?
In their language so they can understand.
Right, because like if you tell me, maybe some of your terms, I'll be like, what is that? Even though I'm a realtor, we don't really understand all the electrical terms.
Yeah, some electricians like to scare their clients. I don't.
Yeah, that's what I like. You're so down to earth and you make it seem like everything is fixable.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Sometimes you hear like, oh, no, your house is going to catch on fire next week, right?
Yeah, fix it, repair it, replace it.
Right.
Either way.
So I have some questions here so we can kind of cover most of the things. We have half an hour, so we have more than enough time to cover everything. But before we get started, can I beg you guys to share this video to your page so your friends can see it, and make sure you're asking comments, and if you have any asking questions, if you have any questions about your electrical situations at home or any doubts that you might have. And you will be entering to the raffle at the end of the show. We're going to give out 2 gift cards. And all the names of the people that don't win, they're going to be entered into the one that we're going to have when we have our 100th episode. So, let's see, the first one. So, as you know, I'm a realtor, so I deal with purchases and sales of homes. So, when buying or selling a home, what are the pointers that you need in order to pass an inspection, like an electrical inspection?
There's a lot of times you have inspectors come in to look at the whole home, and for the electrical problems or plumbing or a little bit of everything. But what they're looking for is grounded outlets. And if they're older homes, around 68 and older, some of the houses were not grounded properly. So what you do is you need a a 2-prong outlet instead of a 3-prong in order for it to pass inspection, to be correct.
Okay.
Some electricians or other contractors would like to flip homes, they would use a neutral as a ground. That's wrong, and fool the inspectors. So it's very important to take the outlet out of the wall and verify what the electrician did or whoever did the work. So a lot of times not even electricians, but that's very good to do, especially if it's an older home, because older homes are rarely grounded properly.
Grounded, right?
But everything by water, 6 feet, needs a GFCI.
Okay.
And those are basic codes. Now we have new codes. 2019 it's really stringent about AFCIs, GFCIs. They're required in all kitchens, all countertops.
Right.
And that's newer homes, so it's when you want to upgrade, it's hard. It gets kind of expensive
To do all of them.
to do it right.
Right.
But sometimes the older homes are grandfathered in, so you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when for us as realtors, if we're doing a city loan, like for the down payment assistance, they want all of them done. They don't
really?
care. Yeah, everything in the kitchen, all the bathrooms and the kitchen, all of them, anything that is close to the counters.
Oh wow! Yeah,
Has to be
garages as well, outdoors,
Right.
all have to be GFCI.
Well, yeah, I think it's an expense, but it could save you.
It saves you time,
Yeah.
especially when you're selling a home. Why wait? To have an offer and compromise with the buyer. Just do it right. Do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Sell the home.
Yeah, and then live in a safe home.
Yeah.
Don't just
For the
make
next
it safe
person,
for
yeah.
the
You
next
always-
person.
yeah, you do the same
You want to
for
be safe
Yeah,
while you're there.
exactly. Yeah, leave it safe for the next person.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, so you want to make sure that the house is grounded, check to make sure, and then the 6 feet for GFCI. And nowadays, if you are, making a remodel in your kitchen, just get them all GFCI. So when they do the GFCI, so for you guys that don't know what that is, those outlets that you have in the kitchen to plug in your blender, your NutriBullet. They have that little button that you can press to reset or to test. Those are the GFCI outlets, and sometimes one of them is controlled by one. Like most of the outlets in the kitchen is controlled by one,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, over the counter, you need to have 2 circuits over the counter, and those 2 circuits by code could be on either side of the counter.
Okay.
But that first outlet usually is a GFCI, which controls 2 other outlets.
Okay.
You're only allowed to have 4 outlets per circuit in a kitchen.
Okay.
So it's hard to understand that, unless a licensed electrician will guide you through that. Because sometimes when people do flipping homes and stuff, they'll put the whole kitchen on one circuit, and it's not right.
So 4 outlets per breaker?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, per breaker. That's it. You can have in the kitchen. And one
Wow.
GFCI can control 2 or 3.
When I make my kitchen, I wanted like 7 outlets. I didn't want to be moving the blender. I was like, make sure I get like 3 on each wall. And the guy did it. I'm pretty sure they're all on the same breaker.
No.
Okay, so 4 per breaker.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So that's why you need a good panel.
Yes.
Electrical panels that can support all those breakers.
In a kitchen, a normal sized kitchen, you have 5 circuits minimum.
Okay.
So if you only have 2 circuits in the kitchen, or 3,
Right.
you're probably undersized.
Yeah, because you probably need one for your microwave, one for the refrigerator, and then.
Yeah, if it's Sub-Zero, yes, the big refrigerators you do.
Mm-hmm.
2 over countertops, 1 dishwasher.
So how do we know when we need an electrical panel upgrade?
Usually, it depends on the size of the home. What you need to do is do a load calculation. A load calculation calculates the proper amperage per home. If your home is 1,300 square foot, you probably don't need more than 100 amps. And it also depends if you have 2 AC units, 5 tons, or if you have electrical water heaters, if you have electrical washer dryers, if you have electrical stove.
Right.
Then you start consuming a lot of electricity. And
So you need a bigger panel.
well, not necessarily. You guys still got to do a load calculation. And that will decide if you need a bigger panel or not.
Okay.
That just decides if you need a bigger panel. But if you have an old panel, that's a different story.
Right.
Old
So
panels.
what year would make a panel old?
There's really because some panels get weathered differently.
Mm-hmm.
If it's facing the sun all day long, it's gonna get weathered. If it hits the weather a lot, water and stuff, they're gonna weather. So those can determine you might need one sooner than later.
Okay.
And then when you start noticing breakers tripping, constantly for unknown reasons, kind of
That's a sign.
it's a sign, and then you start having other breakers trip. It could just be a simple breaker, so you can replace them. But then we gotta go into the bus bars, which hold the breaker, and if those start pitting and messing up, then you're looking probably at a new electrical panel.
New panel. So just remember, like if that's happening in your house and you just go and turn it back on, question it, like why is it doing that? If it only happens once, maybe it's once, that's what they're for. They're supposed to do that. But if it's happening all the time, you might want to call an electrician and call Eddie and just have him look at it. You never know, maybe everything is fine, but then at least you know that you're not in danger of something happening in your house with the electrical.
Fires, yes, definitely.
Right. Remember the panel that you changed on Bonita?
Yes.
Then I remember my buyer was worried because she said, "Well, I'm changing my panel, but is the neighbor?"
Oh,
because they were condos, right?
Yes, they're tied together.
So she was like, "Well, I'm changing my panel, but what about the neighbor?" And then I think a few months later, the one across the sidewalk there or the path, it caught on fire. There was a fire there.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So I always thought, oh my God, maybe they had the old panel. So it's good that they don't get upset. You as realtors, when the inspectors are making you change these panels, don't get upset. Just negotiate it for the seller to change it. Maybe you guys can all pitch in and get a new panel because it could save somebody's life.
Yeah, you could usually split it too, from the buyer and the seller.
That's like what we did.
Yes, yeah. That was very, very smart. Very good.
We ended up splitting it. The buyer had a new panel, then a safe home. Okay, so to the next question. Now, how expensive is it to upgrade a panel?
It depends really, because sometimes now what we're doing is we're going from overhead power to underground power. If you go from overhead to underground, the expense is digging the ground, taking it to the street. That has to be 3 foot down minimum to run a new conduit. So that can be kind of expensive. So it varies.
Okay.
As low as 1,800
Okay.
to as high as probably 7,000. Depending.
Right. Make sure you negotiate that before you close escrow if you're buying a house.
Yeah, it gets get an electrician to give you a quote
before you close escrow, right?
Yes, I have a lot of problems. Just recently had a lady. She called me after she bought the home. She showed me the list of problems she had. I said, "Oh, I wish you'd have called me before you even bought the house."
Yeah, because that could be negotiated.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a lot of problems.
So sometimes a lot of agents, they just want to close the deal and they don't bring that up. I feel I want to keep my clients forever and ever, so I want to make sure I disclose everything. I find out, that's why I was glad to meet you, so you can come and see it, because then the clients are happy and they'll be your clients forever.
Yeah, you care for them. That's why you call them clients.
Yeah, like imagine that lady, she probably won't work with that agent again. Like, oh my God, they're paying us to be a realtor. We're supposed to advise them. Like, okay, let's do an inspection. Let's really check. And, the deals are not going to fall through. So don't be scared to ask for repairs. You have an agent, they're going to negotiate for you. And make sure you ask for that before you close escrow. And if you're selling a home, check all those things before you put it on the market. So then that way you're not surprised when you're in escrow and you're like, oh, they're asking me for this repair and it's going to be $6,000. Maybe if you check that before you put your house on the market, then maybe you fix it a few months before. Start saving or...
And the homeowners who are selling the home know their situation.
Yeah. Most of them know.
They know what they got.
You know what? I believe that, but then I'll give you the example, like my water heater.
Yeah.
My water heater in the house that I'm selling, it's in the back of the house, and it's a hall that would never go through. In 5 years that I've lived there, I never opened that door because it was on for 5 years. So when it was checked when I was selling the house, they were like, "Dang, you need a new one." It's pretty bad. So sometimes, if we're not having issues and we don't notice, you have to give us a benefit. Sometimes we really don't know, but if you have breakers tripping and stuff, then they know.
Yeah.
Right. So just do an inspection before you put your house on the market, and call someone. Do you charge to come and see something?
We come to do a panel tune-ups and stuff like that. We will come by and to check out your electrical. You know, we could do that once a year. There's a fee for it once a year, and it just makes sure that your panels are in good shape. Your breakers, GFCIs, smoke detectors, you know, outlets, general outlets, and then at that time we hear concerns about people. You know, just recently a lady called me up and says, I hear clicking noises in my switches. So I told my kids, don't use that switch anymore until Eddie comes by. And sure enough, you know, the house is in Bonita. It's a little bit older. The house, as soon as you turn on the switch, you can hear the arcing in the switch itself. Removed it, and then it was just old switching. So we replaced them.
So you replaced them.
Yeah. And
is that expensive?
That's not expensive at all. And she said that she wanted to do more in the future, so she did a certain amount. And then little by little, she wants to change out the whole house, which is good because a lot of times these homes, when they're built fast, you know, for production, for money. And what they do is they get the outlet, and there's stab-in locks. And the electricians back then, you just stab them in, put it in, close it up. What happens is they start to arc inside. They start to pit, and they lose contact. So when they lose contact to 2 or 3 outlets.
Not just one.
Yeah, so it starts to affect other outlets. And when one starts happening, they all start happening. And so what we do is we take the wires, take the outlets, we pair them up, and we pigtail them up to the outlet so you won't have that problem again.
Right. Wow, so many things. Because they're behind walls, so you don't even
you don't
know
expect
about that. Right.
until you hear them or see them or something's not working.
Exactly, when something's not working. Okay, let me tell you who's here because I want to acknowledge the people that are logging in. We have Erika Gutierrez, Esperanza Close, Tony Reyes, gracias por vernos. Hi Dana, ¿cómo estás? She's watching us from Cabo, San Lucas.
Nice.
Yeah, where are you guys watching us from? Alicia Aguilar, saludos. Hi Erika. Let's see. Ana Hueso, hello. Thank you for joining us. Stephanie Puente, she's our preferred lender. She's the one that does those city programs, her and Maria Luisa, and they are the ones that send those inspectors.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, even though we hate what they find sometimes, I'm happy they find it. Hi, Stephanie. Gaby Gonzalez, hello, hermosa. Salvador, hey, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. Sal Aguilera, take notes, Sal, for your clients. Leti, ¿cómo estás? Thank you for joining us. Sal Aguilera, he's an agent. Hello, question. When upgrading your panel, are there different requirements and fees depending on the city?
City has its own jurisdiction, so they require their own electrical inspections or their own code, should say. So the city of Imperial Beach requires 2 ground rods and also to ground your gas meters. So, but the city of San Diego, they don't require that. City of Chula Vista, they don't require that. You know, different inspectors, different areas have their own rules and regulations. So
it's good to work with a professional, like, you know, he knows what cities require what, and sometimes you get a handyman like, oh, you know, he can do this. Well, he might be able to do that, but he doesn't know the guidelines for that city, and you might be doing it all wrong. So I think it's important that you work with a licensed electrician. You know, a lot of people think it's a lot more money. I can tell you from my experience, it's not. There's not a big difference in hiring somebody else that is not licensed than getting a licensed person. You know, the difference is going to be minimal, and you're going to get a better job done. And I'm not making any commission here, just so you guys know. But I just think, you know, sometimes we think if we hire a handyman, it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, it's more expensive if you have to do it twice.
Right. But sometimes the price is not that different.
It's very, very, very small price difference.
Right,
very
small. It's very... Hi, Mika. Mika is from California Preferred Escrow, our in-house escrow. Mika, no, you're not in-house escrow. I have to stop saying that because you guys are not just in-house. Mika, and then Eileen, she's one of our managers here. David Gonzalez, he's also another realtor that is watching us. So I'll leave it here so we know who's watching us. So now let's jump into other things besides the electrical panel. How many smoke detectors are needed in a home to call it safe?
Well, you need 1 per bedroom.
Okay.
1 hall. And also you need 1 carbon monoxide on the first floor and 1 on the second floor.
On the second floor.
Yeah.
So the carbon monoxide, it's only if there's gas in the property?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll
or a garage.
Yeah, it'll smell it and it'll ring. And what it is, all of them have to be tied in together. Any new home, any remodel, all of them have to be tied in together. But if it's an older home, it can be grandfathered in. Just individual smoke detectors are required.
So tell me a little bit about that, because the house that I'm buying right now is here in Eastlake, and they're all tied in together. They have that little.
Nice.
I was gonna get rid of those and then just do the battery operated ones.
Oh no.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Well, if you're asleep in your bedroom, depends how big your house is, and the one down the hall goes off, if you don't hear it. But this one, if they're all tied together, every bedroom is gonna beep. So yeah.
But then you're not gonna know where the smoke is coming from, right? You have to go find it.
No, what you want to do is run, get out, get your stuff, and if there's a fire, you want to get out of the house.
I want to find out what's burning.
Well,
maybe
but smoke
maybe it's my extensions. I want to save them.
Yeah, when you get up, you see the smoke and you say, okay,
run.
it's time to go. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have those, so in the newer homes, they all have to be tied in.
Yeah.
You can't just do the battery operated ones.
No, you don't.
Okay. I'm glad you told me that, because I was getting ready to change that. Oh my God, see, you learn something every day. Okay, so then 1 carbon monoxide per story. So if it's a 2-story house, 1 downstairs, 1 upstairs. Not in the garage, right?
No.
No smoke detector, nothing in the garage.
No.
Okay. And then, so now let's go into the wiring. What is the danger of an exposed wiring, and how can we fix that?
Well, danger of exposed wiring is electrical shock. We don't know if it's live or dead. And so whoever would leave it open and unattended or safe off properly probably isn't a licensed electrician. It's probably a homeowner.
Right.
I see that a lot of times. A lot of homeowners like to do their own work. They get tired. They don't have the extra cover, extra box. So they leave it exposed. They think to themselves, I'll get to it later. That's a problem. Problem for the electricians, problem for AC&R guy who goes into an attic, whoever goes into an attic, if you're going to lay your insulation, it's a problem for him. So when you do something poorly, you're causing problems for somebody else, another technician. There's been cases where electricians have been under the ground, the crawl space, who have died using electrical equipment because of exposed wiring.
That was out down there.
Yeah, because if the floor gets wet and you're on the ground, that hits the ground, you can get electrical shock.
Right. We just found that one, and one of the inspectors found one under the house that we were selling. And we had the buyers, and he said, yeah, the cable's just laying there on the floor. And it was like one of the bigger ones. What is it, 220? It was it was like a big one. I don't know what they were using it for, but it was there, so they made a box for it to.
You safe it off and throw a box and box the cover.
Right. So they did it right, but that's why you always have to have an inspector do the inspection and get under the house, because you think you're saving $300 by not doing an inspection. And oh my God, imagine if something, like you said, somebody crawls down there, one of the kids looking for something down there.
Oh yeah, animals even. We see a lot of animals underneath the houses.
Oh, those gatitos, huh? Those gatitos.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Okay, so then, now when you have, when you see those cables that have those caps, is that safe?
Oh yeah, it's safe. It's not, but it has to be in a box, proper box.
Okay.
And the proper way to do is put in the box, identify the circuit at the circuit breaker, and remove the breaker.
Okay.
If you're not using it,
why have it?
Yeah, why even have it hooked up? Why have the potential of it being turned on?
Okay.
Identify it. Make sure you identify what it is. Make sure it's true from one point to another point. Take it apart. You can leave the breaker in if you want, but just take off the wire. Be safe.
Right. Okay, so those little caps are like sometimes to have 2 cables together, right? Like 2 wires together. Remember the picture I sent you?
Yes, how they marry them up. Yeah.
I was changing the light bulb of one of the lamps, and I pulled it too hard.
Oh, that's right.
So the cable came out from one of those caps. I'm like, where did this cable go? I was like, I didn't want to do it to the wrong one, so I had to call him. Like, where does this go? It is scary when you see live, wires.
It's not too bad for me anymore, but when I get shocked, it's tingles.
Tingles. I would cry. It's probably painful. Does it hurt?
It tingles like it. You ever seen those places over in Tijuana where they get your hands, you touch them?
I've never done that.
Oh man, and they turn them up, the volume of this thing.
Isn't that dangerous? Oh my God,
I
no. I know, guys do it for fun.
Oh yeah, it's
TJ.
fun.
That's crazy. Okay, so then you have to make sure if there's any exposed wires that you take care of that. Not yourself, call someone. Hola, Celicet. Thank you for joining us. So, what does it mean when we see smoke or sparks in an outlet?
Well, sometimes one case we had was we're over there in Imperial Beach, on the beach side. A wave came over the wall, hit the whole side of the house, and that just what happened. There was sparks, wire, there was fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was on news, and we
Was
went.
it an IB?
Yeah.
Oh, that's been happening every year now.
Yeah, with the king tides.
Yeah.
So the king tides come up and they hit. So you got to make sure that everything along that seawall, you have to have it protected properly with a weatherproof box, a GFCI. So if it ever happens, it will turn off the circuit.
Right.
And so in this case, it just burned everything inside the box. Luckily, it had a proper box, so all the fire was contained. And so if you don't have a proper box, the fire can escape, hit the walls, and go through your walls.
Right.
So it doesn't, it's just different things. If you see smoke and stuff, it could be a bad outlet. Your connections could be overpowered. People have these high-powered vacuums and stuff.
Right.
Can cause problems.
So what should we do if we see that in? Let's say I'm vacuuming and I see that happening in one of the outlets
Oh,
in the living room.
Stop immediately from using your high-powered unit, and remember what you did last. Sometimes people don't know. They say, "I don't know, it just started burning," but really, it's usually when they use a coffee pot in the living room because they're upgrading the kitchen.
Right.
So it's too much power for a 15 amp circuit, and so it's a loose circuit. Usually, what happens is a loose circuit, and loose circuit would cause sparks and sometimes smoke and stuff.
Okay. All right. So then, if we see smoke, should we turn off the breaker? Or just not use that outlet?
Well, it's hard. It's a good idea to turn off the breaker if you're really fearful of it. If it's constantly smothering, you better turn off the.
I'll be like running,
you better turn off
calling
that circuit breaker.
immediately.
But see, it's another thing. Point is you gotta identify your circuit breakers, because if you don't know which one you're turning off, you're just gonna turn them all off.
So why am I hearing pop noises with the circuit breaker?
Usually, what that happens is because you have a bad connection at the circuit breaker. And if you constantly hear that hissing, popping noise, what it is that the breaker is like a mouth going onto a bus bar, and when it has bad connection, you will hear that popping, hissing, weird noises, and what it does, it continues to wear out the bus bar.
Oh, okay.
And so now what happens is you have flickering of lights. Sometimes your appliances turn off completely, then they turn back on with unknown reasons, and that's because of that.
Okay. So that's something that's not in the breaker, it's in the outlets.
It's in the breaker.
In the breaker.
Yeah, if you hear it in the breaker, it's usually out there.
Okay.
But what's causing it is too much power in the outlet. But it shouldn't do that.
Okay. Wow, we just gotta pay a lot of attention to our electrical, and sometimes we just get lazy and we're like, oh, it's working fine now. Let me just reset it and turn it off. I used to do that where I used to live before. Like we were so used to it. But I think it's important that we keep our breakers in good shape because we don't want to have a fire. But yeah, that's interesting what you were saying about all the outlets outside that get wet. A lot of the houses that I'm selling, when we do the inspections, I see the outlets outside are not protected.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even GFCI.
Oh.
And they're outside and they don't even have the cover. So I never close an escrow like that. I always say, that has to be fixed.
Yeah, it's better. You always want to leave a better place for the next person. No. It's not.
That is so not expensive.
It's part of the whole package,
They change. How San Diego Gas and Electric is updating a lot of their posts. They did one by where I live right now, and it makes a lot of noise. Like
it's like a humming.
Always, like it's always, and when it rains, it's worse. So at the beginning, when they first installed that post, we used to call San Diego Gas and Electric whenever it happened, because you wouldn't see any smoke or fire, but it was just loud whenever it rained. So the first, I want to say the first 3 months, San Diego Gas and Electric was there. Like, they would get there immediately.
Really?
Yeah, whenever we called, they would be there immediately. But they always said it was normal. Oh, it's the new way, and you're always going to hear it. But it's not true. Like, sometimes you don't hear it, and then there's other weeks that you hear it the whole week. So, I don't know.
It's the humidity in the air.
Okay.
And it's electricity. and it's exposed electricity, and those like 70,000 volts going through those lines. So you're gonna hear something.
Poor birds. Hopefully, because there's so many birds by my house. Hi, Las. Thank you for joining us. Dana dice, excellent topic. We're going through a really rough time with new homes here in Cabo because the builders didn't do things right from the beginning, and now we have to install a new electric substation.
Wow.
What is a substation?
A substation is you take the main station, which is pushing out 70,000 volts. If it goes to a certain location, certain distance, they have to sub it out, drop it down the voltage to 4160 maybe, from 70,000 volts, from the 4160, send it down to a new location, and they drop it down from there to 120, 240.
That's okay. So now, let me ask you, Eddie, because I was lucky to find you, right? But not everybody can find a good electrician. Sometimes we end up with the wrong electrician. How can I tell if this electrician really knows what he's like? What can I ask to test that he really knows, that he's really experienced?
What happened to me just recently was a lady gave me a call. She was under stress. I went to her place. She was a contractor from LA, from Orange County. She called me to her house. I looked at the house. I looked at the house and I said, I was an electrician. Just by looking at this work. She goes, he's a licensed electrician. So now I'm wondering, how do these people pass the electrical state test if they do what they've done? So it's really tough. I mean, it's by experience. Usually it's a lot of it by experience, how many years they have experience. If they say they have 2 or 3 years experience, even 5 years, I have,
it's not enough.
yeah, I have 30.
Right.
It's, and I've been through almost every situation possible, good and bad, with clients and whoever.
I think the more you do it, the volume of work that you do, that's what gives you the experience, because you've been through so many things.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn.
It's like playing a guitar, you become a professional by doing it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is how you do, right? This is your full-time job.
This is what I do. I'm an electrician.
I would advise you guys to check reviews. Eddie has awesome reviews. I know that when I was trying to find an electrician to change the panel, I was reading all the reviews for everyone. And he had the best reviews. And honestly, I thought, oh my God, he's going to be super expensive because he has like all these good reviews. And I expected that they were going to send, you call these companies and then they have like 30 employees and, they're subcontractors. You're not really hiring that company. So with Eddie, it's their group of people, and it's not like this company that has like 20 different electric, because you know how they do subcontracting,
Oh yes,
right?
Yes, and they send out their technicians.
Yeah.
And the technicians aren't trained. That's another problem.
Right.
We train our guys every Monday, and so our guys are gonna know what I know, and that's the most important thing. A lot of these big businesses, they don't do that. They just assume you know what you know,
they go and do it.
They send them on their way.
Yeah, the difference with you is like even if somebody's working with you, you're just a phone call away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're not there, you're on the phone like.
And we're so close, Chula Vista. I mean, we're.
Right, you're local.
You could be downtown in 20 minutes. Right.
It depends the time of the day. But yes, we're all local. So yeah, make sure that you hire obviously a local electrician, and make sure you check reviews. I know you're big on Yelp, right?
Yeah.
I think you have a lot of reviews on Yelp and Google too.
Yeah, we always ask for good reviews.
Well, I'm sure you get them automatically because everybody's so happy when you.
But some people are shy. Like these older people we have, and then what I do is I do a self video with them. So I make them talk on a video and give them a review. Some don't want to, but it's fun.
Well, yeah, it's embarrassing for a lot of people to be on camera, but some of us we like it.
Yeah, if you're good at it.
We don't mind. I'm in sales, so I like it. Okay, I think I cover most of the. Is there anything that you think we should advise the homeowners and the new buyers?
Not really. I think go with your gut feeling. When you come to any kind of tradesman, it's a good feeling. A good feeling how they treat your home. That's like number one. I mean, if you got a guy come in with mud feet and not care, then imagine your electrical or plumbing or your drywall or whatever they're gonna do. It really matters how they treat your home, how they treat your animals, how they treat their person. I had a lady give me a call and says, man, he said he was gonna kick my dog if he bites me. So she goes, I was really hurt,
Oh my
So
God,
it's so
yes.
can imagine his attitude.
Yeah.
And so it's a gut feeling who you deal
There's
with.
a lot of very unprofessional people out there, but then there's people like you too.
Yeah.
So just so you guys don't have to be lucky. I already found him. So
Yeah, we're in service.
Yes. So he's just a phone call away. If you guys need any help with anything, his information is gonna be in my website, FabyGonzalez.com. If you go to professionals, we have. You want me to get it? We have a link, a page, and that's where I have all the professionals that have been here to the show. So Eddie's gonna be listed there. So if you guys need an electrician,
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, give us a call anytime.
of course. Okay, so I have my funny sounds here, and we're gonna give out two gift cards, two Starbucks gift cards, to some of the people that joined. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anyone. You got everyone? Isela? Okay. Hola Isela. Nice seeing you. She's in Temecula.
Oh wow.
Okay, so you're gonna get one, and let's give him a gift card. Thank you, Sal. Yeah, this is great information for me too. Look, I just saved a lot of money on smoke detectors. I'm keeping the ones I have. Okay, who is this?
Stephanie.
Stephanie Puente. Yay! Stephanie, you hardly ever make a comment, and look, you win the first time. She's lucky. Okay, let's do another one. Hi, Sela. You're late, so your name is not in here, but we'll add it for the 100. All right, let's see who that is. Who is it?
Hueso.
Ana Hueso. Yay, Ana, thank you for joining us. Now, I have one more question before we let you go. When you get solar, you get a different panel.
No.
It's
Same panel.
okay, so you just turn that off, and then the solar, and that's how you turn off all the electricity.
Yeah, solar panels require two breakers or
Okay.
two disconnects,
Okay.
and a disconnect after the solar the inverter inverts it from DC to AC,
Mhm.
then it goes into electrical panel. That needs to be disconnected from your main panel.
Okay.
And in your main panel, you're gonna have a separate breaker that will feeds the whole bus with
Okay.
back feeds.
So you turn that off there.
Yeah. Turn
So
both
then the
off.
solar is also connected to your regular panel.
Yes, it is, and that's very important.
Right.
We're doing one here probably another month, and I had to call up the solar company because they didn't have a disconnect.
Oh wow.
So they would have been giving me power the whole time, back feeding.
They didn't have a disconnect for an
No.
emergency. How do they turn
Exactly.
it off?
Yeah. See, that was an older panel. It was like, it was like one of the newer ones that were built.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's why you also have to be careful that you check reviews on those solar companies. There's a lot of companies that are doing your solar, and they're leasing the solar from another company. They're not even the actual solar owners. So make sure, like when I install my company, I make sure that we check reviews, and it's the preferred one that we have here. And they were so careful, I know, with the panel when they came. Somebody had to come and check, make sure it was going to be enough power. Maybe we needed an upgrade.
Oh yes.
So they checked everything, the roof and everything. So yeah, sometimes you pay a little more, or maybe you wait a little longer, but it's totally worth it. Hi Jamie. Hi Anais. Thank you for joining us. Hi Christine Pacheco. Thank you for joining us. Who's Christine?
Hey, that's my girl.
Oh, I was gonna say I've never
Hi,
seen
girl.
Christine Pacheco here. Thank you for
Say
joining
hi.
us. Anais Munoz and Jamie. So this video is almost over, but it's gonna be here on the page, so you guys can always go back and see it. Make sure you share it. We're gonna upload it also to YouTube, and then we'll have his information on our website as well. So we don't have any open houses this weekend because we sold them all. So
Wow.
we sold them all.
Killing it.
I need more listings. So we had to cancel the open houses for this weekend because the properties are in escrow. This last one we sold it in 3 days for top dollar. So it's amazing how hot the market is. I was thinking next week I should be here with like a fireman custom, and because the fire.
You're making it hot. You're killing it.
Yeah, we are, all of us, just
These guys
working
are
hard
killing
here.
it.
Everybody here in the office is really busy right now. So thank you, Eddie, for joining us,
Thank you.
for taking the time.
Thank you for inviting us.
And thank you for joining us too, your video. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday with another awesome interview from another expert. Do we know who's here next week? Oh, okay, we don't have it. We do know, but I don't have it here. So we'll see you next Wednesday at 4 p.m. and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ta-ta.
That's awesome. You do such a good job.